This is straight up disrespectful to Scottie Barnes, to the Toronto Raptors, and frankly, to the people of Canada. And no, it's not because Scottie Barnes wasn't selected to the All-Star team. That's not the case. The rosters were released last night in terms of who made the Eastern Conference All-Star team, and frankly, it seems like a fine list. Again, looking at it at the lower end of players, the guys that made the back end of this roster, you can make some arguments for Scottie over some of these players. I mean, Jaylen Brown having a solid year, but the Celtics are one of the top teams in the East, so again, they're going to make that cut. Right, Paolo Banchero is probably the closest sort of argument you can make for Scottie, especially I saw this on Reddit, I pulled this straight from Reddit, basically a comparison. Scottie Barnes is clearly having the better all-around season than Paolo, but the Magic, again, have been better than the Toronto Raptors in the standings this year, right? The Magic are currently, the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference, the Raptors are 12th, and by a significant margin. I mean, there's a significant sort of win gap between the Raptors and the Magic, so again, I'm not frustrated that Paolo ended up getting selected over Scottie Barnes. Bam Adebayo, again, similar story, but I'm not frustrated about any of these selections on the actual All-Star team. It's the report that came out after, following this All-Star selection, because, again, Julius Randle and Joel Embiid are very likely not to play in this year's All-Star game, dealing with serious injuries. They're going to keep them out for the short to long-term sort of time span, so looking at that roster and look at the rest of the players in the Eastern Conference, you say, okay, Scottie Barnes definitely should have been a fringe player for this All-Star selection. He's clearly a guy that deserves to sort of come into this. Well, a report that has dropped revealing the candidates to sort of come in and be an All-Star selection, as a replacement for both Joel Embiid and Julius Randle is frankly ludicrous. It is insane and it is stupid. So we're going to dive into that. Before we do, again, if you're part of the 58% that haven't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button so we can keep you up to date with all the latest Toronto Raptors news. But we have to jump straight into this because basically, according to Chris Mannix and a report that has come out here, Myles Turner, Derrick White, Trae Young, and Kristaps Porzingis are among the players Adam Silver will consider to replace Julius Randle, who is out for at least the next 2 to 3 weeks with a shoulder injury. And then obviously Joel Embiid's out as well. It can be a wild card player that comes in and replace, so it's not positional. Obviously Trae Young is not close to the position of Julius Randle or something along those lines. And even Trae Young, I get, because again, the Hawks are bad, but they're better than the Toronto Raptors here now at this point. Trae Young is putting up some wild stats, so I'm not even that frustrated at a Trae Young getting made. But Derrick White, yes, Derrick White is having a great role player-esque sort of season this year. But if Derrick White makes an All-Star game, OG Anunoby should be in the All-Star game. OG does everything that Derrick White has done, just a heck of a lot better, space in the court, and, maybe Derrick White's a better shot creator, stuff along those lines, but OG's a better defender, floor spacer, all that type of stuff. I mean, Derrick White? Yes, he's been clutch for the Boston Celtics and stuff, but that guy is a role player. He is the 5th option on the Boston Celtics, and I don't care the Boston Celtics have the top record in the Eastern Conference or anything along those lines like that. Derrick White should not be an All-Star over Scottie Barnes. But again, there's a precedent, in the past for players, when you have a team that's so far and ahead above the pack in the Eastern Conference, right? Them coming up, heck, even Kristaps Porzingis, I get, being on this list and stuff. I think Scottie should definitely be ahead of Kristaps, but fair enough. He's on that number 1 roster and all that sort of stuff. But Derrick White being named over Scottie Barnes is ludicrous. And then the name that should have everyone fired up on this list, Myles Turner. Myles Turner. The Indiana Pacers, right? If we look at it here right now, the Indiana Pacers are a team that's 6th in the Eastern Conference. Mid out here in the Eastern Conference. Myles Turner is the 3rd best player on that team. Maybe the 4th? Depending on how you view Mathurin. I mean, why on earth? In what world? In what universe is Myles Turner even getting contemplated on a list for an All-Star team versus Scottie Barnes? Derrick White and Myles Turner being named as potential replacements out here in the Eastern Conference ahead of a guy like Scottie Barnes is absolutely insane. It is madness, and again, the All-Star game doesn't matter. Yeah, that affects players' pay and all that type of stuff in the future, so it doesn't really matter that much, but you have to be fired on the grounds of just not knowing, I've had some bad basketball takes thrown out here. Anyone that watches this sport does. But Myles Turner and Derrick White being named to an all-star team or being named as a potential replacement over a dude like Scottie Barnes is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Pascal Siakam should be on that list ahead of Myles Turner. RJ Barrett should be on that list ahead of Myles Turner. The fact that this is the case, and this is the sort of list that's coming, I mean, we can look at the stats. I mean, Scottie Barnes this season, 20 points per game, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 48% from the field, 36% behind the free throw line, 3-point line. I mean, you look at his stats as well, because you might be like, oh, Ben, that's cool stats and stuff for Scottie Barnes, but defensively, Myles Turner's a demon. He blocks a bunch of shots. Well, you know what? Scottie Barnes, in terms of those box score numbers, 1.3 steals, 1.5 blocks per night. And Myles Turner, for all the blocks that he gets, the fantasy player that he is, and all that type of stuff. I mean, Myles Turner right now this season is 17. He doesn't really rebound for you for a proper big. I mean, I think Scottie Barnes is averaging more rebounds per game. Yeah, he actually is. So Scottie's averaging more rebounds than the Pacers starting center. And for all that's hyped up about the blocks of Myles Turner, Scottie Barnes is only averaging 0.3 less blocks per game than Myles Turner. And it's been well regarded. It's been well noted. We've made plenty of videos over the years regarding Myles Turner and who he is as an actual basketball player and all that type of stuff. Yes, he blocks a lot of shots. He's a rim protector in those sense, but he misses a lot of coverages. He is not that sort of, even Jakob Poeltl-esque sort of rim protector, in terms of, getting across the court, being mobile. Sure, even if he's a little bit behind, he can block the shot, but that's taken a step back this season, and he's just not that guy on the defensive end. So, in what world is there any type of argument for Myles Turner to be an all-star type of guy over a Scottie Barnes? How does it make sense? That needs to be described to me. And again, Derrick White, there's a lot of Derrick White stands out there and all that type of stuff. Derrick White is averaging 15, 4, and 5 this season. And sure, he gets steal a block for night. Scottie Barnes statistically crushes him in every single category. Every single one. With exception maybe like 3-point field goal percentage. But again, it's not even that like Derrick White is shooting, above 40% from behind the 3-point line. Derrick White also has the benefit of playing around Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, and Kristaps Porzingis. Derrick White is the 5th most deserving all-star player on his team. And he's getting named? He's getting thrown out there in the totem pole over a Scottie Barnes? Like, what are we talking about here? Why is this a discussion? Because he shaved his head this offseason? Is that why Derrick White is coming out here and getting all-star nods? Because his memes are great? I mean, the NBA needs to be checked. Whoever's coming out with these reports something needs to be checked out about this, because frankly, it's ridiculous. But let me know what you guys think. I'm signing out. Cheers.